Greetings, curious acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to the Archives. As Emperor and Dark Lord, Darth Sidious was known for keeping many secrets. These secrets were usually places, objects, or projects that would help him attain total galactic, and perhaps soon, universal control. The Emperor's hidden life and what he spent his time on in projects have many stories both in legends as well as in canon, as often our heroes or Lord Vader end up discovering increasingly terrifying truths about what the Empire really has been up to. Among these secrets are often entire worlds such as Whitesand, which housed a great vault of Palpatine's most important treasures. But there was one planet in Legends that truly was the most valuable world in all of Sidious's collection. This was known as the world of Biss. Explored mostly in the Dark Empire comic series, Biss was the world that Palpatine truly held his contingency plan for. We have come to find out that almost every plan that Sidious had to follow up his grand plan began on Biss, and it was this one planet where Sidious truly pulled off some of the most depraved acts of the dark side within his life. So what was the world of Biss, and how did it play such a huge role in Sidious's endgame? Well, it's time to open another holocron and find out. Ironically, despite this being the site of great evil, Biss was actually one of the best worlds to live in all of the lore. It was an absolute paradise. Temperature, weather, beautiful oceans and rivers, stunning natural landmarks, and rarely any kind of natural disaster or even storms. To top it all off, one needn't worry about mining operations, as there were no precious stones or heavy metals on Biss. Neither were there hardly any wildlife. Any beasts on the planet were either docile or nocturnal, and on the planet there was no intelligent species or any threat. Biss resided in the Deep Core sector, which, if you know, is a place in the galaxy that is extremely challenging to get to. Due to the tight cluster of stars that surround the Deep Core, as well as the constantly fluctuating hyperlanes, there is no safe or reliable way to navigate oneself into the Deep Core. However, Palpatine would actually set up an artificial hyperlane that was held together using machines. This was called the Biss Run, and it was the only safe way to the planet. It was also heavily guarded by the Empire. In fact, the entire world of Biss was heavily guarded. The Empire ensured that this place could only be accessed by those whom the Emperor gave direct clearance. As a result, Biss had a planetary shield and an entire Imperial fleet patrolling the star system that it resided in, as well as a blockade of star destroyers forming a ring around the world. All other known hyperlanes to the Deep Core were blocked off by the Imperial Hyperspace Security Net, a system of gravity well projectors designed to monitor and control traffic in and out of the Deep Core. Biss became a fortress world whenever Palpatine finally planted himself there, which meant extremely tight security for the capital city. Stormtroopers stationed on every corner, all landing pads were guarded by TIE fighters, as well as hunter-killer drones patrolling the sky. This was a fortified world, guarded to the teeth, and for very good reason. Despite this place being a tropical paradise, it was actually completely consumed with the dark side of the Force. Biss was already a Force-rich world, and was one of the worlds under the control of the ancient Rakatan Empire back in the old days of the Star Wars lore. But this place was so powerful in the Force because of all the natural and pure life that grew there. Any Force-sensitive who landed on the planet would feel sharply invigorated, almost intoxicated. It was for this reason that Palpatine decided to take the planet for his own and corrupt it with dark side energies. Tainting this specific world with the dark side actually made the planet with one of, if not the strongest nexuses in dark side energy, a tropical getaway where the Sith could study the methods of the dark side in peace. In the era of the Empire, many believed that Sidious's residence was on Coruscant, when in actuality it was on Biss. Even though Biss was basically Palpatine's vacation spot, Vader actually did have access to the world. We know this because a group of 5 Padawans that had been captured during Order 66 were brought to Biss and imprisoned there. When Lord Vader arrived, he killed all but one of them in a room. The final one he took, tortured, and trained to become a High Inquisitor for his empire. But this wasn't the only thing that Sidious did here. The most important experiment that ever happened was what he did to the local residents. You see, the real meaning of the planet Biss resides in what it meant to the rest of the galaxy under the Empire's rule. Biss gained a reputation as being a resort planet that was truly the finest in the galaxy in terms of quality of life and available luxuries. Due to the propaganda placed by the Empire, there was a broadcast sent out that invited immigrants to come and live life in the capital city, promising them that they would have the best life that the Empire could possibly offer. this invitation was even extended to the survivors of the destruction of Alderaan. And when the immigrants arrived and began integrating themselves into society, they truly did experience pleasures and luxuries. But all of this was to keep them blissfully distracted from the fact that they were all quickly dying. Sidious was in actuality harvesting his citizens like cattle by draining the life force of all of the residents of Biss to fuel his dark side experiments. He used it to carry out all of his vile projects, as well as to create clone bodies of himself. When Darth Sidious had finally been able to come up with the contingency plan of using essence transfer to live forever, he managed to do so at the Battle of Endor, moving his spirit from his dead form from the Death Star to the clone body on Biss. And it was there that he would finally begin plotting his revenge and his return to power. Biss became the capital world of the new galactic empire when Palpatine returned in Legends, and here he had began to map out his plan for universal domination using all of his new super weapons. That too was another thing that Sidious did on Biss, the construction of several new super weapons. During his lifetime, he managed to construct numerous new ones, which included the World Devastators and the Galaxy Gun. The World Devastators might be some of the most despicable super weapons in all of the lore, as they were all giant vessels that operated much in the same way that the Starforge did. Only instead of using the energy from a star, it mined entire worlds. Like a parasite, a World Devastator would land and attach itself to a planet before using its tractor beam to literally rip the world asunder, doing so in order to harvest all of its natural resources. The deconstruction of the planet and its resources would then be used to both fuel the Devastator and for its massive internal factories, which could quickly grind out starships, starfighters, and droids, all of which would then be sent into battle straight from the assembly line. These factories could create anything from a starfighter or a speeder to a medium-sized cruiser given enough resources. The Galaxy Gun, on the other hand, was far worse. When Sidious came back from the dead, he had learned his lesson from the 2 Death Stars. The problem with the Death Stars was that they were too close to their target, which allowed the rebels to get up inside of them twice and blow them up the exact same way. Sidious now constructed his new technological terror, which removed the entire weakness of the former battle stations. The Galaxy Gun was a massive supergun that orbited above the world of Biss. This gun was capable of firing missile-like projectiles through hyperspace, each with their own planet-destroying capabilities. These missiles would travel through some of the fastest hyperspace lanes that the galaxy had ever seen, and they could target any planet in the galaxy from Biss, completely safe. Luckily for us in the end, both Biss and the Galaxy Gun were destroyed by none other than our favorite astromech droid, R2-D2. R2 would set the Galaxy Gun to aim directly for Biss and caused it to fire, destroying the new capital world of the Empire, along with all of its residents, all of Sidious's world-dominating plans, and all of his dark side experimentation. But anyway, my friends, this was Palpatine's most prized planet of all, and all of the things that it was established there to do. As usual, be sure to let us know your thoughts about this in the comments down below, and did you know about Biss before this video? If you would like to have more holocrons on interesting and terrifying worlds, be sure to reach out with the Force and crush that like button. And as always, my friends and acolytes, may the Force be with you and have a great day.